Welcome back. In earlier part of the lecture, we discussed the first psychrometric process, that is simple heating of the air. Now coming to the second psychrometric process, that is sensible cooling or simple cooling process. For that you need to have a cooling coil over which air which is to be cooled is circulated. The temperature of air at the inlet, if you know it as T1, its specific humidity is W1 and the relative humidity is phi1. Now the requirement is to decrease the temperature of air from T1 to T2. Definitely the temperature of the cooling coil must be maintained less than the temperature of air at the inlet, that is T1. Now for that you can circulate a refrigerant or a chilled water through this cooling coil, so that its temperature can be maintained well below the temperature of air at the inlet. This sensible cooling process without the change in humidity can be represented on the psychrometric chart as 1 to 2 process. The point 1 represents the condition of air at the inlet. Let's say at the inlet its temperature is 30 degrees centigrade and relative humidity is 30%. You want to cool it, so the temperature at the outlet T2, which you expect to be 12 degrees centigrade, so it will be a horizontal line. Since the specific humidity at point 1 and at point 2 is same, you can also obtain the relative humidity at point 2, and that comes out, let's say, 80%. So here during this sensible cooling process, specific humidity remains constant, temperature decreases there. It's purely cooling process. As per mass balance, mass flow rate of air at inlet and at the outlet, it will be same. Also mass balance for the water vapor will be there, because of which the specific humidity at inlet and at outlet will be also same. However, if you notice here, the relative humidity is increased during the sensible cooling process, whereas earlier during the sensible heating process we have seen that the relative humidity decreases. As far as energy balance is concerned, the rate of sensible heat transfer can be expressed as mass flow rate of air multiplied by the enthalpy difference H1 minus H2, enthalpy at the inlet minus enthalpy at the outlet of air, that is in terms of kilowatt per kg. The kilojoule per kg can be expressed as simply H1 minus H2. We derived earlier expression for the sensible heat during the sensible heating process. Same will be applicable here, and that can be shown here, that is 0.02044 multiplied by volume flow rate into a temperature change, that is TD1 minus TD2. So this is a sensible cooling process, and we have observed during simple cooling specific humidity remains constant but relative humidity increases. As during simple heating, specific humidity remains constant but relative humidity decreases. Now under ideal condition, the dry bulb temperature of air leaving the apparatus should be equal to that of the coil surface temperature. That means if the initial temperature of the air, let's say the 30 degrees centigrade, and you want to heat this air, and for that the heating coil selected whose surface temperature, let's say, maintain at 60 degrees centigrade. Now, when you supply air at 30 degrees centigrade over a coil of which surface temperature is 60 degrees centigrade, what do you expect the temperature of air at the outlet? Will it be equal to 60 degrees centigrade, less than 60 degrees centigrade, or greater than? Naturally, the temperature of air at the outlet cannot be greater than surface temperature of the heating coil. It cannot be even equal to 60 degrees centigrade. Yes, ideally it should be equal to the surface temperature of heating coil, but practically the temperature of air at the outlet of the heating coil will be always less than the surface of the heating coil. Now, why it is so? Of the air, and that same will be there for the cooling process also. So, the temperature of air at the outlet of either heating or cooling coil will not be same as the temperature of heating or cooling coil. Why? That is because of inefficiency of the heating or cooling coil. This inefficiency of the heating coil or cooling coil can be understood here. The temperature, let us say this is heating coil and it is maintained at a temperature T3. So, temperature at the inlet is T1, okay, it is a sensible heating process. The temperature at the outlet of this heating coil, this T2 cannot be equal to T3, that is temperature of heating coil. The temperature of air at the outlet here, this will be always less than the T3 during the sensible heating process, and that is because of inefficiency of this heating coil. It can be represented on the psychrometric chart. This is the condition of air at the inlet. Assume that you know a temperature, dry bulb temperature at 0.1 and the relative humidity at inlet. So, you can locate 0.1, and since it is a simple heating, it will be straight horizontal line, and you know the temperature of this heating coil. Find this 1 to 3 process, 1 to 3 point, which will represent an ideal heating process, expecting that the temperature of air at the outlet will be same as of heating coils. But practically, in actual case, the temperature of air at the outlet will not reach to the surface temperature of heating coil. It will be always this TD2 is less than TD3. There will be difference between this TD2 and TD3. You can find the relative humidity at the outlet. Similarly, so what I was telling you that TD2 is less than TD3. Similarly, for cooling coil, TD2 will be greater than TD3. The temperature of cooling coil is maintained at certain value, and when air flows over the cooling coil, air cannot get cooled to the temperature equal to the surface temperature of cooling coil. It will be little higher than the surface temperature of cooling coil. That means TD2 is greater than TD3. So, this is because of inefficiency of the heating or cooling coil. If you say that the coil is highly efficient, then the difference between the TD3 and TD2 will be less. So, it depends on the efficiency. This inefficiency or the efficiency of the coil, both heating as well as cooling, can be conceptualized in terms of bypass factor of the coil, and it is thought that a part of air does not come in contact with the coil, due to which its temperature remains same as the entering state. So, whatever air is flowing over the, let us say, heating coil, out of part of that of the air is not at all coming in contact with the heating coil, and therefore the temperature of that part of air which is untouched with the coil, that remains same as at the inlet condition. So therefore the temperature at the outlet of coil will be less than the surface temperature of heating coil. The final temperature of air produced will, however, corresponds to a mixing of that contacted and uncontacted air. This bypass factor of coil therefore is defined as the fraction of air which does not come in contact with the coil surface. The extent to which the temperature of air approaches the surface temperature of the coil, that is important. That can be further understood with this diagram. Let us say that in the path of air you are putting this coil, okay. 1 kg of air at temperature TD1, let us say it is flowing over this coil, and the temperature of the air at the outlet is, let us say, TD2, and the temperature of this coil is maintained as a TD3. So out of this 1 kg air, let us say fraction of air x kg is not at all coming in contact with this coil, it is bypass. So since it is not in touch with the coil, it is uncontacted, so this x kg air will remain at the same temperature TD1. So when it will get mixed here, so x kg air is remaining at TD1 temperature, its temperature is unaffected, whereas only for remaining part of the air, that is 1 minus x kg, its temperature is getting changed, and that is reached to the temperature of the coil surface, that is TD3. So that means 1 minus x kg here reaching to a temperature equal to the surface temperature of coil, that is TD3. So 1 minus x kg is reaching to TD3 temperature, and x kg is remaining at TD1 itself. So when this air mix here, you get this a different temperature, that is TD2, and the mass balance is also remaining there, that is 1 kg. Okay. So this x kg is actually representing a bypass factor. Applying the heat balance for this process, the x kg multiplied by the specific heat of moist air, which remains at the same temperature TD1, that gets mixed with 1 minus x kg into CPM, and its temperature is reaching to TD3, is equal to 1 multiplied by, because it's total 1 kg, 1 multiplied by specific heat into TD2 at the outlet. So by this energy balance equation, you can simplify the expression for x, and that will come out as x will be equal to, in terms of temperature difference, that is TD3 minus TD2. TD3 is the surface temperature of coil minus temperature of air at the outlet, divided by the total temperature difference, that is TD3 minus TD1. So this x is called as a bypass factor of heating coil. It is TD3 minus TD2 divided by the TD3 minus TD1. For cooling coil, similarly, you can obtain the expression for bypass factor, and that will be something like this, that is equal to TD2 minus TD3 divided by a total temperature difference, TD1 minus TD3. Okay. Since it is a cooling process here, TD1 will be greater than a TD3, that is surface temperature of coil. Okay. This bypass factor depends upon the following factors. Number 1, the number of fins provided in a unit length, that is the pitch of the fins. Second factor is the number of rows in a coil in the direction of flow, and the third important factor is the velocity of flow of air. It signifies the performance of coil or air conditioning apparatus. So naturally, higher value of bypass factor is not desirable because it represents inefficiency, the fraction of air which is not coming in contact with the coil surface. So it represents inefficiency of the coil. So it is desirable to have a low bypass factor to have a high performance of coil or air conditioning apparatus. Okay. Therefore, as I said that bypass factor represents inefficiency. So 1 minus bypass factor will represent efficiency of the coil, or also called as contact factor, because 1 minus bypass factor or 1 minus x will represent how much air is coming in contact with the coil surface. And therefore, since you already got the expression for bypass factor, you can easily obtain the expression for efficiency of the heating coil. So efficiency of heating coil will be 1 minus bypass factor will be equal to 1 minus the expression for bypass factor, that is TD3 minus TD2 divided by TD3 minus TD1, and then simplify it, it will be TD2 minus TD1 upon TD3 minus TD1. Similarly, the efficiency of cooling coil will be equal to 1 minus bypass factor, and that will come out after simplification as TD1 minus TD2 upon TD1 minus TD3. Okay. This bypass factor and the efficiency can be understood further with the help of psychrometric chart. Coming back to the expressions developed for bypass factor, and if you see correlate it with these processes here for the heating coil, you know the temperature of air at the inlet is TD1, temperature of the coil surface is TD3, and actual temperature of air at the outlet is TD2. So bypass factor is actually this length 2 to 3 divided by the total length 1 to 3. Once you express it in terms of length, you can now put it in terms of temperatures too, and therefore the efficiency of heating coil will represent, numerator will be the length 1 to 2 divided by this total length 1 to 3. Okay. So for example, since the efficiency is length 1 to 2 divided by 1 to 3, so in terms of temperature, length 1 to 2 means the TD2 minus TD1 divided by TD3 minus TD1. So that way you can express the efficiency of coil once you understand this efficiency in terms of lengths with the help of psychrometric chart. I think it is now quite clear to you. So in the next part of the lecture, we will talk about this third psychrometric process, that is humidification.